derail later. Wait until Machine.
But no, it's the same thing what we're all talking about. It's good you say that because it's like I'm agreeing the same thing.
Go ahead, Machine. Sorry, I interrupted. Sorry.
No, no, it's just these these three steps that he's pointing out in this video. Before we get back to this video, he's got these essentially three steps, three moves, that the liberals create. They ask the system for reforms. Okay, that's their great protest against the system, right? It's a token rebellion because essentially those ideals are created by the professors. The professors come in and say, we have to unite all of these various liberal ideals together, right? Feminism, gay rights, anti-colonialism,
socialism.
Socialism, all of these ideas, they basically unite all of these things and then provide a synthetic view over to the public. The public then uses that view to then pander to the system. The system comes up and offers them simple concessions, which don't work, and then they go on again with the same cycle. So it's just a self-repeating cycle that basically goes on and perpetuates, until there's, and the reason it keeps on perpetuating is because there's no violent revolution.
Well, that's not quite. That's not the whole picture because liberals also hypocritically ignore and subvert the system, so they cheat at the system too. So they don't follow this. They don't follow the rules.
Yeah, and I asked someone today. Sorry, Machine.
No, I was just gonna reply to Hank and say that he mentions that throughout his critique. But yeah, go ahead, Anna.
Well, I just had objective proof today. Somebody said, they were justifying the state being involved because there's abuse in the family, and then they took mental health days at work and school, and I said, well, what if people cheat? She said, it's okay. It's okay for people to cheat. For some people to cheat. Well, I guess at least she was, but yeah.
Yeah, like our college professors cheat at their research.
Also, Anna, your audio was cutting in and out. I didn't hear everything you said. I heard like half of it. Something about cheating? Can you repeat it?
Thanks, Sci-Fi. Sorry about the audio. But I said that I asked somebody today who wanted like free like health days or mental health days at work. I said, what if people cheat? And she said it was okay. Like it's okay for some people to cheat.
Because mental health is a bullshit concept.
Yeah.
Isn't the whole thing cheating? Like, is there any legitimate claims?
Because it's like, well, one, we're talking about cheating, but two, mental health's a bullshit concept. It was debunked by Michel Foucault. Like, this is pretty canon in French philosophy. And funny, starting in 1958, they turned insane asylums into mental health institutions. I have mental health, guys. It's deteriorating. It's the number one thing the American state does to make sure to stop radicals. You have mental health issues.
I thought if you had legitimate mental illness, you couldn't really even have a job. I thought that was the point.
Yeah, because they called them insanity. That word was a little more blunt. And that didn't we had the same conversation literally like 4 months ago. We had like a mental health episode. Yeah, we got to rewind that and reissue that episode. There was a lot of good points in that, but it was like we spent like an hour or 2.5 talking about that. But it's like, yeah, this is like basic. If you study Foucault, the first thing he says is like mental health was pretty much invented in 1958, and for the last 70 years, it's been the institution trying to shut up dissidents and intellects and saying, "Oh, sorry, it's my mental health. Oh, fuck. Yeah, the reason why I'm an artist is because mental health." It's like the most bullshit thing ever. It's like you can't prove it. Just like
Leatherman. And if you didn't study Foucault, all you need to do is ask your shrink what the definitions of mentally healthy is, or show me an example of a mentally healthy person. They won't know the answer to either of those. They have no
It's
idea.
basically, then there's people who are like, hey, I'm consensually insane. Are you saying there's something wrong with my health? Stop fat shaming. So you can add the liberal politics into what you consider as objectively health.
And
so
think,
they really have create a word fuckery there.
And that's how we cheat our way out of it. That's how we cheat our way out of the liberal
Pretty
system.
much.
I think y'all are missing the bigger picture here. The reason why they empty out the insane asylums is because Democrats needed voters, and so now they're winning all the elections.
No, they can get their votes from the cemetery, sci-fi. That wasn't necessary.
There wasn't enough dead people, Hank. They have to win in a landslide, so they had to empty out the insane asylums and the cemeteries. Both are needed. So anyways, the collapse of industrial civilization is definitely socialism and authoritarian, immoral governments, which I've already covered a bajillion times now. Everyone knows the answer.
Well, anything I don't like is socialism by definition.
No, and it's not just when the government does stuff, but it is technically when the government
Well,
does
technically, we're talking about Kaczynski, and Kaczynski is very unique because he's one of the only green anarchists that has an incredible hatred towards liberalism, which he calls leftism. But we know that left, like you said, what is left and right, these are seemingly just categories, and that's why we say liberalism, because it's outside that paradigm. And we know what Kaczynski's talking about. He's talking about globo homo. Whether that stems from Hegelianism or not, he thinks so. But he's so radical that he thinks, we got to go back to this like green anarchist state, would just cure everything. And it's just, that's where we get communalism.
No, it's based.
Yo.
There goes the stream.
The fuck does that mean, I-Fi?
Oh, you're here for trouble. So
No. I thought you were done with politics, I-Fi. I hear you
am.
politicking over here.
I'm trying to convert everyone on panel to the religion of Phi.
I believed you the 20th time you said it too.
This is your last chance, based Oracle, to talk to me.
I heard that once from a man named Andrew.
I usually we're more worried about me than based Oracle. You know how many cults I destroyed in the last 3 months?
Okay, since we're going religion, Machine, can I present real quick? I'm sorry to completely derail, but I had
Don't let him do it.
I had to get some feedback here.
Yeah, run out that dialogue tree.
Well, we'll present in about 30 minutes if you don't mind. If you're still
okay. We'll wait till the video and then wait for Pilliter to define left, and then I can present.
Yeah, because I'm actually not prepared to play the rest of this video for you guys. It's going to be like about 15 more minutes, so please engage in conversation until then.
Oh, but can I present in the meantime then? Because I got a little short video.
I guess you sure can. Yep.
Oh, okay. It's really
short.
Yeah,
if it's less than 15 minutes, go ahead.
It's like 3 minutes or something, I think. So here, let me.
Yeah, for sure. As long as it's not like a copyright situation.
Oh no, I own it, so you can't be copyrighted because you already have my permission to use any of my stuff.
We have Anna back here. Let me switch myself with her. There we go.
Okay, so whenever you're ready, here you go. I want your feedback, Machine, because I kind of created this as a love letter to you. So.
What the?
I want to see what you think about it. You ready?
Yeah, it's not gay at all.
Journey in the said it was
wow.
So much confidence.
A deeply personal quest, filled with introspection and a desire for understanding.
I'll give you subtitles just in case.
But where do you start? First, seek knowledge. The foundation of finding truth is education. Delve into religious texts, attend lectures, and engage in discussions with learned individuals. Don't shy away from asking difficult questions. It's essential to challenge your preconceptions and seek clarity. Next, look for consistency. True religion should offer a coherent and consistent narrative across its teachings. Examine the doctrines closely. Do they align with historical facts? Are the teachings consistent over time? Third, assess the moral framework.
That's interesting.
A true religion should promote justice, compassion, and integrity.
It's just 2 minutes, so it'll be over soon.
Evaluate how its principles align with these values.
iStock,
Does it inspire
fancy.
good character and ethical behavior? Observe the practitioners.
We'll get to the punchline here in
Do
a
they
second.
embody the teachings in their daily lives? 4. Consider the universality. The true religion should transcend cultural and geographical boundaries. It should offer guidance that is relevant and accessible to all of humanity. This universality is a hallmark of truth. 5th, reflect on personal experience. Faith is not just intellectual, it's also experiential. Engage in the practices and rituals of the religion you are exploring. See how they impact your heart and mind. Do they bring you peace? Do they foster a deeper connection with the divine? Finally, pray for guidance. Regardless of where you are in your journey, ask the Creator for wisdom and direction. A sincere heart-seeking truth will not be led astray. Remember, this journey is unique to each individual. Take your time, be patient, and remain sincere in your quest. Finding the true religion is not just about discovering facts, it's about transforming your entire being. Thank you for joining me on this journey.
You're welcome.
May you find the truth that you seek. Until next time, take care and stay blessed.
I will. Thank you, sir. Your thoughts, Machine? I made this just for you, so your opinion
I
really
agree.
matters to me.
Yeah, you'll be happy to know that when you were premiering this, I actually turned it on. It was live, and I was watching it. I think I caught like 10 minutes of it while I was on mushrooms.
Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, I did enjoy. I mean, I enjoyed the words and the spirit of the whole thing. You know, the ideas behind it. Yeah. You know, 100% on everything he said.
The reason why I ask you in particular is because after I kind of, bailed out of YouTube for a while, that entire video was produced, edited, and created by AI. I didn't even make it.
Yeah, we can tell iFi.
So
AI-fi. AI-fi. That's
David
hilarious.
Attenborough. Yeah, David Attenborough.
Yeah, it sounds like David Attenborough,
Yeah, I think it
narrating.
is. Yeah, the guy from the Planet Earth.
But you probably saw the other two as well. You probably could guess those were also AI generated. But anyways, I just kind of thought, I'd go a slightly different tangent for a while and see how that works out. Since humans aren't so good at learning, I was going to see if like machines are capable of learning. What do you think?
Yeah, they sure are. They sure are.
For the better or worse of humanity, though, is the question.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
So, iFi, what do you mean, let's see how this works out as opposed to what you were doing? How would you define working out? Can you quantify or qualify?
Progress, learning, growing, evolving.
Yeah, I know what the words mean.
Oh, okay.
I'm asking, can you somehow put it into some metric that we could understand how you would find success? What were you looking for?
So maybe less evil retards and more good in intelligence, maybe. That would be my metric.
Okay, so more and then less. And once again, we're back to how would you quantify that?
Just by numbers. I would start with like quantity of each party. Like, is there more of the bad people or more of the good people? Is how I would quantify it.
So based pretty much to know how this works. This works the same with all cults. All cult leaders want to use psychometrics to clone themselves, and iFi is no exception.
Yes, I'm trying to convert everyone to the Church of Phi. That is why I'm here. I'm an evangelist for the ministry of Phi.
I agree that left and right are silly terms. That's only been like 150 years old. So I agree there. And I think the most smartest political scientists realize that these are just semantic terms to describe values. But politics only works when you go above the binary and say, what are we really talking about?
But didn't you use the term earlier when you were talking about politics?
Yeah, because Kaczynski used the term. That was the slip up.
Oh.
And then I kept saying, well, you came in. I was like, perfect timing. Because
I have a chart if you need to borrow it.
I mean, but Kaczynski, you got to understand, his enemy is leftism. And what he's really saying is like this weird Hegelian liberalism that white people feel. And that's really what he's up against. And he thinks it's like an error and he wants to return to this, like, uses Sorelian adventurism to get back to the primitive society.
Now, Pill Eater, do you define it? Are you describing how he's defining it?
I'm just
how
describing.
White people okay, so that was how he
in
presented
his words.
it.
I'm paraphrasing.
Right. Yeah, I got
paraphrasing what he was saying. Yeah.
Do you have your own definition, or do you just use other people's definitions?
This is what he wrote in the his manifesto. Due to technological.
Whose definition is better, Pill Eater? That dude or my definition of left and right?
It's hard to say.
Oh, come on.
Well, look, the idea of how other people feel, which we couldn't possibly know how somebody feels, although we could ascertain based on what they purport, their words, but he certainly can't speak for all people, so he's making a broad, sweeping generalization that white people feel a way.
Right, and I'm looking up right now, an industrial society and its future. I have Technological Slavery, that volume, which has industrial society and its future in it. So I'm
That's
confusing
correct,
the two. I'm
So, based
confusing the two.
Oracle, should I add to the definition the left wing is about feelings and the right wing is about facts? Would that be a good definition?
Well, let's get back to what is left and right. I see you have a chart up here. Is this
Yes.
yours, iFi?
This is the correct answer.
Right. Well, left or both. So
Oh my, there's a singularity in the chart, multiple. I could see just from reading it.
so with that said, how did you come to the conclusions of
Boom.
the left is immoral, the right is moral, capitalism, socialism? These are broad generalizations that we've seen people on the left not you know what, my bad, I see underneath you have Democrat, Republican,
Yeah.
and on the right
now you're getting
conservatarian.
it. Now you're getting it.
Okay,
So-
so these
so
are
again-
conservatarian ideals that you have.
So again, based Oracle, this is not a perfect chart. I'm not saying 100% of the time it's accurate. I'm
I'll tell
saying
you
most
the
of the
one.
time.
I'll tell you the one, and it's mostly accurate. I agree. I'll tell you the one inaccurate part I see,
What's that?
and that's the naturalism and the transhumanism. They need to be switched out, right?
I don't know because I've heard
Those are on
y'all
the wrong
talk-
sides, in
I've
my
heard
opinion.
y'all
We
ta-
just
talk
me and
about those.
me and Pill Eater have been covering this a little bit, and I think those
Okay,
need to-
well, that was per Neurojack,
I'll have-
so
I'll
you're
have
gonna
to
have
look
to
at the-
debate him in order to change
Okay,
the columns.
yeah,
so.
Let me.
Yeah, 'cause-
let
No,
me
Jack,
look at
I summon you!
I have to look at the list now. I just found the Ted K quote, but he basically says political correctness is upholded by like white people who lie and say that they're leftist in point 12. But again, sorry. Now I can look at the list. I copied it in the chat.
So
you have based down
I'm
there.
open to debate, but again, Neurojack claimed that transhumanism is left and that naturalism is right. So I said, okay, because I didn't have feelings about those terms, but if y'all want to debate it for me, I'll be happy.
So this was a feelings chart?
No. I didn't have any feelings. I said I had zero feelings about it, so that's why I didn't influence it.
Right.
Based.
Okay, so question, you have based under conservatarian. What does that mean?
As opposed to like just being like race baiters, identity politics, people that like are, their feelings about what, gender they are and stuff like that, as opposed to being based in reality of what their actual
Based in reality, grounded. I like it. All right.
There you go. So that's why you're an honorary conservatarian. You just don't know it yet, but we'll get you there eventually. But
I'm waiting for my plaque, asshole.
You need some
What
morality.
is transhumanism? Yeah, maybe. What's transhumanism? I'm not familiar.
You're on the stream. This channel is all about transhumanism versus naturalism, and I'm actually kind of on the fence on this one. They're gonna have to pull me off the fence.
Yeah, the thing is, I would even think about naturalism for a second, because naturalism ultimately leads into nihilism. Because if you believe everything is just chemicals in the brain, we're forgetting the spiritual aspect of things. So I'm thinking like naturalism is an okay word. Maybe materialism would be a good replacement, because you could still have spiritualism with the materialism. But naturalism says, oh, the only reason why you're thinking is because brains and this, and there's no higher powers. So it's like maybe change naturalism with materialism. I'm not so sure, but that's just my 2 cents.
So you're saying they're not opposites, essentially.
Like transhumanism, the reason why you would be transhumanist is because you have a spirit, but you can have a spirit. Like naturalism doesn't really have a spirit. Naturalism is just like, this is what happens. It doesn't really. I would say the replacement would be materialism, what we're talking about.
Okay, that makes sense.
I think both of the terms are kind of fuckery, so that's why I haven't like even entered into the debate yet. But I'm waiting for you guys to talk about it, and then I'll jump in and see.
We're doing it right now.
Yeah,
Okay, so what is a transhuman? Define that term.
You're leaving the human body for some infinite goal outside of the universe.
Okay, who has done that?
We trans flags.
What?
People, when you're transgender or transracial, that's a byproduct of transhumanism.
They're not human anymore.
Yeah, they want to become something. They want to become something else. They retain the human aspect, but they go against naturalism and the nature in favor.
Wait a
of-
minute. What about kids that pretend they're dragons or whatever? Are they transhumans
Yes.
as well, or like
when they get the
what?
technology. When they
What
get the
the
technology,
fuck?
well, there's imagination, but then the sincere conviction of I want to be a dragon and I'm going to body transform into a dragon.
Why is that not? Why is it inhuman to have an imagination and pretend?
No, it's not that it's inhuman. I'm talking about the inhuman process of that you leave your human body in humanity in favor to become something that's non-human.
Well, yeah, but let's say a dude chops off his dick. It's not that he's not human anymore. He's just altered,
He's
or
just a
she, or
mutilated human.
whatever.
Right, but in transhumanism wants it to become it's like the humanity becomes something else other than what the natural limits has made it to be. A part of the
Okay,
leaving the body.
so
I don't wanna
tampered
be-
with,
Go ahead.
tampered with humanism.
I don't want to be that guy, but I seem to remember listening to a conversation on this very channel about talking about how, like, you know, brain computer chips or something was going to be like the first step into transhumanism or whatever.
Yes, I said that because
Why are you inhuman if you have a
Cybers.
computer chip in your
if
head?
if you're a cyborg, you are one step away from humanity because then you could do like superhuman space marine things.
I mean, what if the computer chip is just to like control your TV and change the channels or something like that? Does
But
that make you inhuman?
it's like naturalism. It can socially control you for like some insidious reason.
But what if it doesn't?
Yeah.
then
What if it,
then you would be like a space marine, hopefully in a Promethean aspect, going to different planets and killing Tyranids, but that's not the case because you might be just like something that's so disfigured you're part of Skynet AI and the Borg is controlling you.
I was just about to ask you, are like cyborgs like transhumans or something? Like, what's
Yeah,
the
they're one
definition?
step. They would be in a category of transhumanism because
Okay, so what if there was like a military dude and he got his legs blown off and then he replaced them with like robot legs? Is he less human?
Transhuman.
right,
According to Pilliter.
Well, yeah, you would cheat life if you could extend your immortality. Think about that.
He's not living longer. He's just walking on robot legs.
But you could get like a replacement brain or replacement heart too, and you can live longer.
What's wrong with heart transplants? What about people who have like heart disease?
It's like
and they got a heart transplant?
it's like the spice in Dune. You can live forever.
You're starting
What
to sound like that one religion that won't accept like blood transfusions or something because it's like inhuman or something.
Well,
or
it's not that
unholy.
it's on that lines of being anti-transhumanist. But
What
it's
about
more
birth
like,
control?
What was that?
Don't yell.
Birth control.
Well, then that's just natalism and anti-natalism because then it's like what they're going to do is have an anti-natalist birth control, but then everyone lives forever.
Well, what I'm saying though is that doesn't it? I mean, from what I understand, hormonal birth control alters the body to not have the female human cycle as she would naturally. So wouldn't that, in a sense, fall into transhumanism?
I think it's true when women start having babies at 50 and 60, and they use like technology to have that and cheat their natural limits.
Well, what about when they inject that thing into their arm or whatever the fuck so they can't have babies?
Then they're just like neutering themselves, and they're just being like, whatever. I think that's what the state wants us to do too.
And what
No,
about
I agree, but
what
I'm
about
just saying,
diaphragms and
isn't-
rubbers?
isn't that transhumanism if they inject this piece of technology into their arm or whatever?
There's
Yes.
positive and negative transhumanism.
Yes, it is transhumanism.
Well,
Okay.
there's
Exactly my point, Bill Eater. There is positive and negative
Hank,
transhumanism.
you know about this. There's a wiki article that says there's positive transhumanists and negative transhumanists, and there's a
Of
whole
course.
subculture of it.
Yes.
And it's like that's what they argue about all the time. It's like the neg transhumanists are like Skynet AI, but the positive transhumanists are like we can get leg transplants, we can live forever. It doesn't. We get 10 inch.
Yeah, and this expands to all technology.
Of our ancestors. So, like, I don't really see a difference, you know?
Yeah, and this extends to all technology. You pretty much you have to pick and choose what's best for you.
Also,
So-
I don't see a political divide here, which is why I was hesitant to even put it on the chart. But someone else insisted, so I was like, okay, sure.
Well, the reason why is because all the critical theorists talk that transhumanism will be the enemy in the future. Like leftism will just be talking about transhumanism because it's all about maximizing freedom.
The negative parts, right? Not the good
Right.
parts.
Not like the Promethean parts where we're like going to go to Mars, use our transhumanist tech to be like anime realist people. That's what I talk about. They want to do like this negative transhumanist where it's like you become this insidious blob that like socially can. And it goes back to the authoritarian nature, and just like you become this ugly thing that's not even human anymore, and you just hate yourself.
Okay, I'm gonna try and steel man this conversation because I'm still like miles away from it. So, how about the Gattaca concept of where like humans try to like take over the human genome and like craft it in their own image or whatever? Is that better example of transhumanism?
But that's a revolutionary phenotype. That is problematic.
Greg Bear's Blood Music described that science fiction story. Blood Music by Greg Bear talks about that when humanity creates blood cells that think like humans, and then what happens? It kills humanity in favor of just one.
The point of Gattaca was that in the future they might have the technology to select the fetuses for like the healthy ones that don't have any bad genes or whatever. And stuff
yes,
like that.
and that's a problem. That's a problem because they may screw up the pick, and it end up like one of the bananas we lost, a Cavendish banana, because they weren't enough diversity in population. So
which I'm not really worried about because you can't like physically tamper with the soul or anything like that. So I'm not worried about like demons being created in the future or whatever.
Yeah, we can't physically tamper with something that doesn't exist. I agree.
It definitely exists, Hank. You got a soul whether you like it or not, brother.
Yeah, show me one.
Designer babies, very
it's
important.
talking right now through a yellow hat.
Transhumanism.
Then that's my body. It's soul's body. Why even use the word?
What's telling the body to talk, Hank?
My body.
No,
that would be the naturalist position. Hank is right.
This is circular.
Naturalism would put, and that's why I said get naturalism off, because it would be the body, not the soul talking.
Hey Hank, if I had twin human beings, would they say exactly the same thing and think exactly the same thoughts?
It depends.
No, it doesn't. Either it's yes or no, Hank. Will I have the exact same copy because they're physically exactly the same?
They're not physically exactly the same. You're
yes,
incorrect. No, they're not.
My summons work.
They have different fingerprints, you fuck.
They're in different locations. See, I summon no Japanese here. I'm a wizard.
What does location have to do with it, Hank? If you're on the left side of the room or the right side of the room, that doesn't make you a different.
Gotcha! You nailed yourself.
Neuro locale is here now because Hank summoned me. So.
Yeah, Neuro, you gotta explain transhumanism because none of them have convinced me yet of what that word means.
First of all,
you're the one who used it.
No, he used it. That's why it's on the chart.
First of all, transhumanism is already here. Like basically any mediation is kind of transhumanist, and I'm holding a supercomputer in my hand, so we're kind of there. First of all, second of all. Have you guys heard of anthrobots before? I just heard of this today. Yes. So we're already way down the line. I mean, the scale is not the point.
I'm gonna have to ask, what's an anthrobot?
I'll let you guys Google it and you'll see all about it.
I'll Google it now while y'all talk.
It's just like Greg Bear's Blood Music. The genes become its own human.
Robots made from human cells.
Yes.
Move on their own.
That's Greg Bear's Blood Music ideal. I mean, we already made that. GPS in your
blood.
blood.
According to the Vedas, we already have the power to control genes, and not just human, and splice and create, and that's all been done already.
It has. We figured out selective breeding already, so that's most of the control we need.
I meant thousands of years in the past.
Well, sorry, go ahead.
I'm saying, like, instead of thinking divide as left and right, going back to I-Fi, you have to think in these universal terms outside the binary, where it's really this battle between those who leave the body and those who that are within the natural world. And that's kind of like what Dugan, Elendon, Benoit, Heidegger, all this argues about. And it's really that simple.
Pill-Eater, I have zero problem with nuance. I have a million problems with eliminating black and white as if they don't exist. So that's your problem. You have to figure out.
Oh, no, it is your problem. Like, for example, we have capitalism on there, but capitalism is also known as bourgeoisie socialism.
Correct.
So you have socialism in both places. I'm left.
That's
and right.
the problem too. Yeah.
In my house, capitalism means the voluntary exchange of goods and services through privately owned goods.
The problem is we're way past that, and it's already been totally weaponized into Trotskyism. I mean, how can you deny
Yes,
it?
correct.
And again, it's reality that we can measure. So, for example, when you go to the economic freedoms chart, you can look at the countries who practice capitalism versus socialism and see which one works better.
Compare it to Elon Musk. What level of capitalism are you at? Are you close to an equal playing field, or?
I'm one step left of laissez-faire capitalism, where the only law against capitalism is antitrust laws, so that shitheads can't fuck up the system.
So if Elon Musk uses capitalism to put a gun to your head to say, "I think you should vote for Trump," how do you feel about that?
That's not capitalism. That's
effectively
coercion.
Effectively, that's where we're at right now.
Do you remember the part of the definition where I said voluntary exchange of goods and services? Does that sound like voluntary exchange, Neurojack, when someone points a gun to my head?
Absolutely not.
It's exchange of bullets.
James,
So,
you're still,
remember,
your volume's at 11, dude. You need to turn it down.
Remember
a couple
Matt
notches.
of Quantum of Consciousness and his channel? He's from King of Prussia, Pennsylvania, where my parents have a house and I grew up at. Okay, it's outside of Philadelphia. So on Matt's channel, he reviews King of Prussia. You know, it's a little suburb outside of Philly. But what makes it interesting, it's the place the third biggest mall is there. There's a lot of what you would call that kind of capitalism happening there. But there's a problem. It's literally has become a Potemkin village of sorts where nobody is really gaining wealth. Any transactions among people, no one's getting more. There's no profits in command. It's an illusion. In other words, profit has become ideological to support and to show other countries. King of Prussia, Pennsylvania is the unique place where America happens. But it's a ghost town. Nothing's happening. So how are all these businesses still intact if they're not making profit? That's because it's a Potemkin village. And Matt has noticed this on his channel, and I've noticed this myself. And it's only there is to make an ideology that maybe profit is kind of not real. It's not a science, and therefore capitalism is just like the Soviet Union or something. It's an ideology of liberalism.
What's the third choice between capitalism and socialism? What's the third option?
First of all, how can you even calculate price in a situation like we're in?
Yeah, capitalism.
You can't even. The whole point of capitalism is to calculate pricing. So, is there any free market to the pricing system that we have now? No, there's not. So,
we're not even capitalist right now.
Your volume's still at 11, dude. It's just distortion every time you talk.
I was at 11.
Making my ears bloody.
Yeah, so if you can, just try to turn his volume 30.
Can you turn that volume down just to lick their machine because he doesn't know how to self-regulate?
I think it's just coming from James' end because I tried to turn his volume down, but yeah.
Hey James, could you
It's coming in a little bit muffled. It's coming in just a tiny bit muffled, my friend. We'd like to get
another thing I have to reference about King of Prussia. There's a lot of famous people there. In fact, the Milton Friedman stayed there before he died. He had his son David there, and he wrote the Anarcho-Capitalist Manifesto. And then his son is in San Francisco. So the Friedman family has a base in King of Prussia, Pennsylvania, and they're pretty much responsible for resurrecting capitalism for the Libertarian Party. So again, King of Prussia is this kind of icon of what it means in American capitalism. So if it doesn't work, it has to show everyone else who's not American how a free market liberal capitalist society would work. Kind of like a North Korean village.
So Pill Eater, getting back into nuance, I can show you why we can combine certain topics, and it's very logical. So first of all,
you're not going to talk politics anymore, buddy. So hold on,
Jack.
Slow down, because you said you're not going to talk politics. So before we go way off,
I will Pill Eater because he's cool.
Oh, okay. Well, look at the panels that you're on i5. So I mean, I don't know if we should even have you here right now. I mean, that's what you said. So okay. So anyways, so. Really quick, so you might say that King of Prussia. You might say that King of Prussia has the best exports of bombs, ideas, and quantum of conscious. Which one is the most deadly? Ideas, probably.
Yeah, Lockheed Martin is in King of Prussia too. And I'll tell you that the military has a base there as well. So it's really peculiar, but at the same time, they want everyone shopping there, but nobody is shopping there.
Well, and I have to jump off, but I wanted to address Hank's point because it kind of goes into what you and Anna Perner were talking about last time, which is selective breeding. Is that considered transhumanism, and where do we draw the line? Is mixed couples or mixed people having kids or mixing cultures or synthesis, Hegelian stuff? Is that all bad, or are we just kind of Hegelianism within the bloodlines, Hegelianism within ideas, synthesis? Is it good, bad, indifferent? How do you decide, and where's the line?
Who are you asking, Nero?
Well, Hank, you and Pill Eater for sure, and then everybody else, I'm sure.
Okay. Well, it's Brown's Boy 23 said designer babies is a part of transhumanism. Absolutely. And how is transhumanism going to use designer babies? Well, if we still have an economic system of sort of liberal capitalism, people are going to be motivated by supply and demand chains. So if it becomes highly popular that all their kids want to look like anime characters, designer babies with blue hair and anime eyes will be the thing. And guess what? Nobody wants to have brown kids because that's not popular. That's a niche market. What that entails, what that entails is not only racism, but how the liberal market is about choice and mimic desire, and that people would rather keep up with the Jones and choose something to be one of the same, part of Skynet AI's Borg. So that's what you have to consider with Skynet AI. It's not that certain cultures are subjective, but under this designer baby ideal, there'll be one objective ideal of determined by supply and demand, hot topic, subcultural consumer interest.
And we all know how this movie ends. Nature loves its monkey's paw, so it'll turn out the cure for the disease was in the black blood, and then we rooted out all the blacks, and now we all die. Haha, funny humans.
Exactly.
But
Exactly.
Pill Eater, what you're saying is happening, for example, in Bollywood. They breed like Indian with just the right amount of Indian, but it has to be North Indian, fair-skinned with big eyes, to get that fair complexion. That
it's not just basic. It's not just basic eugenics. It's going beyond basic eugenics, where even before eugenics would be the natural outcome. Transhumanism would make it immediate.
And India is already.
But I'm arguing that itself is engineered, like insofar as that itself is engineered, and that's a kind of designer baby.
It's called eugenics.
The yesteryear.
I mean, that's called eugenics, and that's already been practiced for at least a century now.
They've already been engineering races for millennia in India.
Mm-hmm. What's the opposite is called dysgenics, meaning that what are bad genetic qualities, like being physically, mentally retarded and things like that. They don't tell you about dysgenics because they always focus on eugenics, the positive aspects. That's the difference. There's a positive and a negative.
By the way, Anna, I don't know if you're familiar with the way back origin history of Hinduism. I have a theory that the Aryans used religion to create the caste system of the light-skinned people versus the dark-skinned people, and that's why y'all still have that division to this very day. Just my 2 cents.
That's not a theory. That's actually espoused by globalists and Indian feminists. It's not unpopular, but
okay. I share that theory.
Aryans and Indians are related.
They're not related. So a long time ago, the Indus Valley people were the native people of India. And then the Aryans showed up with their chariots and superior forces, but they didn't want to fight a bloody battle against way more dark people. So they instead used the clever trick of using religion to teach the dark people that they are the lower class, like servant class of the religion. And that
where are these light-skinned people at?
They were from the Turkey region a long time ago. They're called Aryans.
But where they at, like today? Like where they cast?
I didn't hear your question. Sorry. What did you say?
You showed where these light-skinned people exist in the high caste.
Oh yeah, they're still in India now. If you look in India now, you'll see very like light-skinned Indians versus
I'm
the
high
very, very
caste.
dark.
I'm a Brahmin.
Right,
I
exactly.
five.
Those are
I'm a
those are
Brahmin.
the Aryan ancestors.
I'm
Those
not
are
lying.
and obviously they cross mix every once in a while. You know how slaves and slave owners, tend to break the rules when no one's watching. But anyways, so long story short, that's where the caste system came from, and it's
But that's
directly from religion.
there's no proof of that. There's no proof
There's
of
all the
light
proof.
skin, dark.
There's actually like archaeological
Where
proof as
is
well.
this
They've already
light
started
skin?
finding like all
Where
the.
is this light skin Brahmin Aryan? Where is this proof of that?
They're there now. You can go to India right now and find dark skinned people that are
Dude,
the
I'm from
majority of
India. I'm
dirty
asking
people
you where they're at.
in India. In India, the country of India today has.
You need to be
In
more
India.
specific. What part of India?
Super
What
ignorant.
region?
I would start
Yeah,
looking
what
at like all the government and mega corporations, the people that own all the land and stuff like that. That's where you're gonna find most of the light skinned people, and then the dark skinned ones are the
But
ones
they're
that
not Indian. They're clearly bred with British and like European. They're not.
and
like,
Aryans
you're not
thousands of years
talking about
ago. That
Indians
was my
anymore.
point, Anna. My point was 1,000 years ago they were the Aryans that were mixing with the locals.
They were in India.
But if you were in India, like 3,000 years ago, it would be much clearer. It'd be like white people and black people kind of difference. But now it's more like brown and brown.
There was no white and black. The caste
Yep,
system
there
has
was
nothing to do with color.
thousands of years ago, Anna. Things change over thousands of years, and so over
Kindness,
thousands
best
of years of.
apparel.
I mean, just look at America. America started out with white people, and black
Dude,
people, and now
I find like to use alternative facts.
and now
You're
we have a bunch
wrong.
of
You're
bunch
wrong,
of
man.
Oreos
You
in
have no
America
proof
now,
because
and
there's
this
no relationship between color and caste.
and our country's only like what 200 years old, and we already have all these mixed races, so it's not hard to imagine that this would change very quickly. But anyways, it's just my theory. You can prove me wrong, Anna. That's fine. If you have better evidence to explain why the caste system was so important to Hinduism, but that's just my theory. Also, who were the Brahmin, by the way, since you brought them up? The holy people. And why were they always white? Is it just coincidence?
What's up? What's up?
Hey, Browse Boy, what's up?
You know, just listening and laughing and learning, you know.
Good. We're here to entertain. So, Pill Eater. Hi, Cecil.
Yeah.
The Cecil stare.
I'm listening. What's that? I-Fi?
He's staring into my soul. Hold on, I'm waiting for Cecil to stare into my soul. Pill Eater. So I was getting back to why it's important to combine certain terms, because we don't even have to put any effort into it. So the reason why I clumped together certain words like socialism and authoritarianism is because those go hand in hand. They're like, magnets to each other. And so just like the polar opposite of the libertarian capitalists are the opposite of these people. And so I think we can put those in black and white camps, as opposed to the grays that humans try to pretend like these are just exceptions to the rule or something, when they're the natural order of humanity.
Yeah, it's kind of like if you group the words alcoholism together with white American Christianism, you also get authoritarianism.
I like socialism and authoritarianism better, because how else can you fund an authoritarian government other than just either taxes or just straight up stealing all your citizens' money? So
You
again,
already
it's kind of
own all
logical.
the land, gold, and silver there is. That's how.
Right, but if you're trying to form a government and your choices are either there is no centralized government or there is a very strong centralized government, which economy would serve that one best, do you think?
Both of them.
Can you repeat the question one more time, I-Fi? I was just doing something.
Okay, so the two topics that we're going to focus on right now are the size and power of government. So you got authoritarians versus the anarchists or libertarians. I don't care which one you pick. And then the other topic is the economy. Like, how do you pay for all this shit? And again, the two choices are socialism or capitalism. So if you had to pair those two, which one would you naturally pair those with? Would you say socialists tend to be more libertarian? Would you say capitalists tend to be more authoritarian? Which one do you think is the natural order of humanity?
The natural order would be the economy, which is not authoritarian.
No, like let me pick one, for example. Like, let's say we're going to form an authoritarian government. Which economy would naturally pair with that? Socialism or capitalism?
Socialism.
Of course. And that's why there's the black and white divide, Pill Eater, and that's why there's a left wing and a right wing, and those are black and white
But that
terms that are obvious.
authoritarianism was never bad, or it never was good. I mean, it could be good, it could be bad.
Most of the time it's bad. It's 99% of the time
But
bad.
how would you describe
When
National
it's
Socialism?
good, it's called fascism.
Because even good men become corrupted with absolute power, which is where we got the saying absolute power.
I'm just saying,
corrupts
yes, it's
absolutely.
true that authoritarianism is an aspect of socialism because people command the economy, and that
Exactly.
requires some level of paternalism. But
Even
it
though
doesn't
it's
mean it's bad.
theoretically possible to have an authoritarian government enforcing capitalism, for example,
That's
which
right,
is kind of
that's right.
screwy, which doesn't make any sense. But sure, you can try it and see if it works.
I would say that's our system right now.
Yeah, it is our
our
system.
That's the problem.
That's why I made the King of Prussia allegory. Is that's what King of Prussia is? It's an authoritarian Potemkin village that's pushing cat, and it doesn't work. It's just a showboat.
I agree.
But
with
I
you,
think it
Bill
does
Eater,
work.
But
You
I'm
can build
trying
that.
to show you that there's a natural, black and white that we're moving to and from. So we're moving from the libertarian capitalism into the authoritarian.
What you need to understand, Ifi, is that we found a contradiction in your model, multiple contradictions in your
No,
model.
there's not a single contradiction, Hank. What you don't understand is, again, there are exceptions to the rule, Hank. That doesn't mean it's 100%.
Then your rules are bad. Your rules are bad if you don't clearly define where the exceptions are and why they're
Okay,
there.
Hank, here's what your complaint is. You're saying because there's gray in the world, then your theory that a black and white exists is false. That's what you're trying to argue, Hank. This is why it's completely retarded to make that statement, because even if you started with a black and white, you can have gray transitions from one to the other. That's not the problem. There's no problem in my theory, Hank. The problem is people don't even understand what the black and white terms are.
The problem is all those other colors that you're not paying attention to.
No, they
That's
don't
the problem.
understand which one is good or evil, Hank. They think they're equal in value.
What was that? Who said Anna?
I don't know if Machine wants to take Neuro's question.
So, yeah, is race mixing good or bad? Is it part of
Where
transhumanism?
His
Yeah.
question.
So Neurojack asked if race mixing is part of transhumanism. I would say no.
Here's what I would say: the word miscegenation is a negative insult, a derogatory term to say, "Oh, you miscegenated. That's bad." And that was historically created to shun race mixing. But the word race mixing also has that derogatory background. So we say it's as a positive interracialism, mixing of, but it's like race mixer. It does have that kind of sting to it. Like, I think that comes from miscegenation and has a history to it. So again, what I say is transhumanism is genetic choosing, that you can, like, in other words, eugenics is already an early stage of transhumanism, where instead of using artificial technology, you're creating it through natural artificial construct of genes. We're messing with genes as we have children with different people. We're still human. We're just having, we're testing out what genes, how can we control the temperament. That is a type of kind of Francis Galton Darwinian transhumanism that's being practiced by the elites as we speak. What is going to happen is that once you have the super precise technology to make like innate anime eyes and hair into your genes, then we'll overcome that like naturalism that's happening by organic techniques. It's kind of like buying, gluten-free bread, which you would consider race mixing, until this hard line, we've created the technology to create vegan hot dogs. And that's what's going to happen is that, again, I wouldn't say it's race mixing. I would call it interracial transhumanist technology, because people who are mixed don't see themselves as mixed. They see themselves as unique individuals with certain characteristics above basic beings.
And race was invented by the state anyways to keep people fighting. So
right,
race itself is a technology.
Right.
Also define race.
That too. But it's also very much what I'm saying is you have to make sure we're not talking about miscegenation or a derogatory term, because there are people, to use liberal words, by consent who decidingly, created Hispanics, created these people, created those people, and that's what they're. And then the liberal is have a preference, as they like to call it. But again, this is not going to matter once we have you turn from green politics to like hardline tech politics once the transhumanist technology emerges. And then white people are just going to look like anime characters while having a European soul. So then that's the weird deracination part that's going to happen.
Also, what race is the human race mixing with? I'm lost in this conversation.
Well, that's a part of why race mixing is weird.
They're mixing with elves.
Oh,
but that would be
well, I'm definitely against that, Hank.
Well, here's the thing. In some remote parts of the internet, they talk about interspeciesism. Even the science fiction writer Gene Wolfe talk about it. Like, could you create cat women? Could you create dog people?
No, thank you.
Yeah, but they will do that. The transhumanists will like splice dog genes with like bat genes, and I'll be like hang tie cat girls and shit like that, and they'll literally do that.
Also, no matter how much you fuck with the human body, you still can't change the soul. So again, it's still irrelevant.
Mm-hmm. And that's why we use the transhumanists, is because they're trying to escape the soul.
This is what I don't want to be an asshole on this panel. I know Machine's gonna get mad at me, but as soon as you put glasses on, you're already becoming transhumanist. So I don't see the point of y'all's argument.
He would agree with you, though.
Technology,
right? The machine lies.
There's technology that helps us, but then technology that leaves the spirit.
Glasses, yeah, but who gets to define helps versus hurt? That gets back into that subjectivity.
That's a part of the transhumanist shit. The transhumanists don't see themselves as a guy or girl. It's like a thing. It's like an anime character.
No. I mean, who defines like good technology versus bad technology?
I mean, it's like the glasses. Glasses. I'm wearing glasses right now. It's convenient. I see.
How do we define good capitalism versus bad capitalism?
Oh, that's a good question.
Oh, I can answer that, Cecil. So, crony capitalism is an example of bad capitalism, and libertarian capitalism is an example of good capitalism.
I know that first word, that first term, because it's been around for a while, but that other term, I don't really know.
Libertarian capitalism is the boring definition, where it's private ownership and the voluntary exchange of goods and services. So there's no government to collude with. There is no price fixing. There's no monopolies, any of that jazz. It's just good old wholesome good people exchanging goods and services voluntarily that they privately own.
What you got, James? You got something for us?
Don't blow our ears out, dude.
Is my first off, is my audio better?
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah,
that's
much
good.
better.
Okay.
It's much better.
Way
now.
better.
Yeah, go ahead, though.
Thank y'all. Second off, why make it so complicated? Why not just go back to like good old fashioned, old school capitalism, which is pretty much laissez-faire, but like not necessarily, in the sense of like the way that it was at that time. Let's keep the every human is I guess equal, but the different sexes though are like obviously different because we have our different roles. So, but far as humans in general, we're all free and we're equal. And far as like, no matter like far as your skin color.
Oh, because some people are more equal than others, James.
Also, James.
I mean, economically, yes, but that would be capitalism, though. That would determine classical capitalism would determine the economical like differentiation. But we're all equal far as like humans.
It was usually based on merit. I agree, James. That's why it was a better system. There is one catch to what you just said, though. You want to avoid the phrase laissez-faire capitalism because that means no rules capitalism, which is actually not a good idea because without the rule of law, you would be able to kill and steal people in a capitalist system, which is no bueno. We had to invent the antitrust law because some humans are just smart enough to know how to break capitalism, which is if you control all of the goods, like all the gold mines, then you can price fix the gold and then you can ruin the market that way. So you have to prevent monopolies. Other than that, everything else is fair game and it is the best system.
But, would anybody disagree if I said there are no free markets?
Well, there are more free markets than other markets. There are less free markets and more free markets.
I agree with you, Bounce Boy. There are no free markets.
Again, laissez-faire means no rules, which means you can kill and steal from people as part of the economic system, which is bad.
Markets are defined by the constraints.
So rule of law is a good restraint on laissez-faire capitalism. So laissez-faire is not a good idea because it's like this purist idea that the market will solve all human problems.
Hey, I got a real serious question. Is there any, because you guys know a lot more about these different definitions and stuff, is there any like way of the economy being where like it's talked about where like there is no slavery? Because that would just be the one I would be interested in.
That's socialism.
I've got a real serious answer.
Again, you have to use
and that's
force.
iffy, and all these guys are fucking retarded. And every time they talk economics on this show, I try and watch, and it triggers me. It far left wing triggers me, and I have to come up here and set these broke ass plebs straight on their very funny retardation. Now, who wants to fucking go right now? Do you want some of this iffy? Because you're up here sounding retarded.
Yeah, we're gonna.
You're
yeah,
up
we're
here
gonna do.
sounding real.
Yeah, we're
iffy.
gonna
Give
do
Illuminati
iffy.
Tommy the stage. This is good.
Yeah, we're.
Yes,
gonna
I like
do-
it.
Yeah, we're gonna do.
We love
Iffy
you, Tommy.
versus- Yeah, we're gonna do Iffy versus Illumitami in a minute here. Hang tight, guys. We're gonna watch 10 minutes of this video. I gotta step away for a minute,
All
make
right.
my prayer here, and then I'll be back with the music break. And
Beautiful
then,
Muslim prayer.
Yeah, and yeah. So just give me 10 minutes, and we'll be back with that. Thank you guys so much. Blessings.
Oh, Banjo Stewie.
I must find a more suitable host body.
And I'll go look for
The
Iffy
captain
while
and the
he's gone.
mates from their station on the poop deck had been watching and listening. Now they smiled and winked at one another, and at a gesture from the captain, the third mate came down from the poop deck, sauntered over to where the passengers and crew were gathered, and shouldered his way in amongst them. He put a very serious expression on his face and spoke thusly.
We officers have to admit that some really inexcusable things have been happening on this ship. We hadn't realized how bad the situation was until we heard some of your complaints. We are men of goodwill and want to do right by you. But, well, the captain is rather conservative and set in his ways, and may have to be prodded a bit before he'll make any substantial changes. My personal opinion is that if you protest vigorously, but always peacefully and without violating any of the ship's rules, then you will shake the captain out of his inertia and force him to address the problems of which you so justly complain.
But they nevertheless did as he said. They gathered in a body before the poop deck, shouted insults at the officers, and demanded their rights.
I want me higher wages and better working conditions.
Equal blankets for women. I want to receive my orders in Spanish.
I want the right to run a crap game.
I don't want to be called a fruit. No more kicking the monkey.
Revolution now! The captain and the mates huddled together and conferred for several minutes, winking, nodding, and smiling at one another all the while. Then the captain stepped to the front of the poop deck and with a great show of benevolence announced,
Good news for everyone. The able seaman's wages will be raised to 6 shillings a month. The Mexican sailor's wages will be raised to 2/3 the wages of an Anglo seaman. And the order to reef the foresail will be given in Espanol. Lady passengers will receive 1 more blanket. The Indian sailor will be allowed to run a crop game on Saturday nights. The bosun won't be called a fruit as long as he keeps his cock-sucking strictly private. And the monkey won't be kicked unless he does something really naughty, such as stealing food from the galley. That's all.
The passengers and crew celebrated these concessions as a great victory, but by the next morning they were again feeling dissatisfied.
I just don't believe it. I really do not believe
Hey, who fucking muted me in the chat?
Shillings a month is a pittance, and I still freeze my fingers when I reef the foresail.
I'm still not getting the same wages as the Anglos or enough food for this climate.
We women still don't
Is that
have
Jake
enough
from
blankets
State
to keep us
Farm?
warm.
What injustice! What a
Well, he sounds like a bitch.
Why should I have to suck cocks in secrecy?
That's right. Why should heterosexuality be privileged?
What about the monkey? Won't someone think of the monkey?
Yes, what about the monkey?
It's really terrible that the monkey gets kicked for stealing a bit of bread from the galley, and that the women don't have equal blankets, and that the able seaman gets his fingers frozen. I don't see why the bosun shouldn't suck cocks if he wants to. But look how thick the icebergs are now, and how the wind blows harder and harder. We've got to turn this ship back towards the south, because if we keep going north, we'll all be wrecked and drowned.
Oh, yes. It is just so awful that we keep heading north. But why should I have to keep cocksucking in the closet? Why should I be called a fruit? Ain't I as good as everyone else?
Sailing north is terrible. But don't you see? That's exactly why women need more blankets to keep them warm. I demand equal blankets for women now.
It's quite true that sailing to the north imposes great hardships on all of us. But changing course towards the south would be unrealistic. You can't turn back the clock. We must find a mature way of dealing with this situation.
Look, if we let those madmen up on the poop deck have their way, we'll all be drowned. If we ever get this ship out of danger, then we can worry about working conditions, blankets for women, and the right to suck cocks. But first, we've got to get this vessel turned around. If a few of us get together, make a plan, and show some courage, we can save ourselves. It wouldn't take many of us. 6 or 8 would do. We could charge the poop deck, chuck those lunatics overboard, and turn the ship to the south.
Same idea, but I don't know. I don't believe in violence. It's immoral.
I'm terrified of violence.
It's unethical ever to use violence.
The captain and the mates had been watching and listening all the while. At a signal from the captain, the third mate stepped down to the main deck. He went about among the passengers and crew, telling them that there were still many problems on the ship.
We have made much progress, but much remains to be done. Working conditions for the able seamen are still hard, and the Mexican still isn't getting the same wages as the Anglos. The women still don't have quite as many blankets as the men. The Indian Saturday night crap game is paltry compensation for his lost lands. It's unfair that the bosun has to keep his cocksucking in the closet, and the monkey still gets kicked at times. I think the captain needs to be prodded again. It would help if you all put in another protest as long as it remains non-violent.
Oh, swine! Don't turn your back on me, mate!
It isn't fair.
Why did I have to suck cocks in the closet?
Injustice!
Suck my cock!
Pinche gringo.
We want equality!
Revolution now! To the captain!
More good news for everyone. The able seaman will be given gloves to keep his fingers warm. The Mexican sailor will receive wages equal to 3/4 the wages of an Anglo seaman. The women will receive yet another blanket. The Indian sailor can run a crap game on Saturday and Sunday nights. The bosun will be allowed to suck cocks publicly after dark. And no one can kick the monkey without special permission from me. That is all.
The passengers and crew were ecstatic over this great revolutionary victory. But by the next morning, they were again feeling dissatisfied and began grumbling about the same old hardships.
I don't know. You know what he did last year? You damn fools! Don't you see what the captain and the mates are doing? They're keeping you occupied with your trivial grievances about blankets, wages, and the monkey being kicked, so that you won't think about what is really wrong with the ship, that it's getting farther and farther to the north, and we're all going to be drowned. If just a few of you would come to your senses, get together, and charge the poop deck, we could turn this ship around and save ourselves. But all you do is whine about your petty little issues like working conditions and crap games and the right to suck cocks.
Petty? You think it's reasonable that I get only 3/4 the wages of an Anglo sailor? Is that petty?
How can you call my grievance trivial? Don't you know how humiliating it is to be called a fruit?
Kicking the monkey is not a petty little issue. It's heartless, cruel, and brutal.
All right then, these issues are not petty and trivial. Kicking the monkey is cruel and brutal, and it's humiliating to be called a fruit. But in comparison to our real problem, in comparison to the fact that the ship is still heading north, your grievances are petty and trivial, because if we don't get this ship turned around soon, we're all going to drown.
Fascists!
Counter-revolutionary.
Fascists!
Fascists!
The passengers and crew went back to grumbling about wages and about blankets for women and about the right to suck cocks and about how the monkey was treated. The ship kept sailing north, and after a while it was crushed between two icebergs and everyone drowned.
Welcome back. And I think Tommy left the room, unfortunately.
Oh, I thought Tommy was gonna debate me or something.
Don't worry, the bigger threat's still here.
I'm not afraid of you, Hank.
Yeah, Tommy was mad at. I guess Tommy was mad at economics. I think it was, or it was leftist
Tommy's
economics.
mad at there's too much oxygen in the air. You know, he's a very angry person.
Yeah, Tommy, why did you run away? You know what I mean?
He was, I just got back. He was mad at us talking about economics, or like it was all left wing or something.
He's just mad at
Well,
me.
so Tom was just going to make the point I we made, which was capitalism is also known as bourgeoisie socialism. So it's on both sides of the chart.
What we need is for the proletariat to rise up and start the union. Hank, are you with me, comrade?
Reference to it. It's as though it never happened.
No.
Right, because Dio could easily say in interviews, and I remember back that like he would say like
The easiest way to spot a commie is they'll say bourgeoisie.
Yeah.
Well, anyone that's not IFI is a communist. Don't you know?
I'm not interested in your fluoride in my water and try and corrupt my precious bodily fluids.
Don't you want your very own gay frog?
Well, they are colorful. So yeah, I already spoke my piece, so I don't know if there was any objections before I head out. But so Pill Eater, combine authoritarianism with socialism, and we're good. We'll have a black and white standard.
What about market socialism?
No, thank you, sir. Any word that includes the word socialism, you can count me out.
You have an authoritarian government, quote unquote, but you have a free market, happening within it. So it'd be market socialism.
What about trans-communism? What about state capitalism? What about a bunch of bullshit terms that humans come up with because they don't want to argue about what's really the topic of the black and white socialism versus capitalism debate, which we settled many
Right.
decades ago.
Well, they just don't want to be. They don't want to have an opinion on reality.
And
That's
here's where they get you, Pill Eater. So you and I both know there's no such thing as pure capitalism. There's no such thing as 100% pure capitalism. So obviously there is a little bit of socialism the moment you introduce like the rule of law, because you have a government that stops people from killing each other and stealing each other's shit. I'm not arguing that nuance. I'm saying that I'm talking about the extremes that, they don't know when to stop. Humans don't know when to stop when we just gave the answer. And so they keep pushing for more and more socialism because they feel like it means like, it'll end poverty and it'll take care of everyone's grandma and there'll be free healthcare and free college and no one will ever get sick or poor. But in reality, socialism causes the most amount of starvation and death and poverty and wars and killings and all that stuff. And capitalism is even though it's imperfect, it's the best system we have available to us for prosperity and goodness. So, mic drop there. Anything else, fellas?
Well, China adopts a level of capitalism to it, but it has a superstructure communist idealism. It's still authoritarian, but it uses capitalism to its advantage.
China exploits the quote unquote free market capitalism of the world by using socialist labor to outbid all of its competitors. The reason why it's so successful is because it uses its authoritarian socialist country for free slave labor to make cheap shit that honest capitalists cannot keep up with, because we can't make shit cheaper than them because we don't allow slavery in our countries. And so that's not even worthy of the debate. Now, if anyone knows what they're talking about, all they have to do is look at the details of those topics. But no, America is not the shining example of the best capitalism, because we are already crony capitalists that are getting involved with fascist governments that use socialism to hide. You know, they pretend like we're capitalists, but they're using socialism to price fix and control the markets through lobbyists and crony capitalism, which is why everyone thinks capitalism is bad, because they're looking at America's crony capitalism and saying, see guys, capitalism fails, that's why we need more socialism. And so that's why I'm not interested in these debates anymore, because no matter how many billions of times you explain this, the audience will never understand, because most of them are socialists, and socialists are incapable of learning. So I'm done arguing it. As all my fans who showed up earlier said, I'm not here for politics and drama. I was just here to promote my new religion called the Church of Phi. So stop by and check it out. Anything else? I'm heading out. The shell has spoken. But anyways, I'm glad you were amused, TML, with my AI generated content, because I know how much you love technology, and especially when it affects our culture, like in philosophical discussions and stuff like that. So I wanted to see what happens if the robots took over for a while, and so far they're off to a pretty good start. They're already smarter than most humans that I have to debate, you know, as far as like economy and politics and philosophy and stuff like that. But I don't know. I may put them against each other. See if you guys can find an alternate AI that will battle the AI and see which one wins. Let's try that and see what happens.
Sounds like a plan.
Cool. Thanks for having me on, bro. I always enjoy my little visits here with you.
Yeah, blessings.
And pill eaters always. And even Hank. Hank, I can't hate you, brother. I just love you too much, man. You're too much fun. So.
Yeah, you're definitely appreciated, my friend. It's always a pleasure. Thank you
and
so
James, I didn't really hear much from you except when you're making my ears bleed, but you figured it out. So thanks for turning the volume
James
down.
figured it out. You know, it is what it is. So yeah, he's coming in. It is.
That
what
was
it is.
cool. But yeah, I appreciate his contribution as well. He made some good points as well. So all right, guys, have a good one. I'm gonna go ahead and hop on out. So
yeah, have a blessed night, my friend, and come back anytime. You know, we're gonna be doing it again on Saturday. So yeah, come through.
Right on, brother. Keep it real. Later.
For sure.
Have a go.